And we're back.
Yes. And we are joined for our first conversation by the CEO of the Ministry of Education, Dr. Carol Babb. Good morning, and thank you for joining us.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Yes. So we know that today, or yesterday, I should say, was the day that initially had been expected for schools to reopen, but we know that that is now not the case, at least in the way that it was initially planned. Yeah. And so, of course, I think what's on everybody's mind, especially for parents, is what exactly are the measures that are being taken now that we have to be making these adjustments in light of COVID-19?
Okay, so Gavin, as you rightly said, school was supposed to be open yesterday. To be quite honest, we don't know when school will open.
Yep.
Yeah. The Ministry of Education will be advised by the National Oversight Committee, and then we will get advice as to where to go from there. Yeah. But at this point, nothing is guaranteed.
Yeah. Now let's step back. So clearly, with this date approaching and understanding that we were going to be under a state of emergency, at the very least till the end of the month, I'm sure that the officials and yourself included sat down to kind of decide what would be the best way forward. I keep on saying that the benefit we have is being kind of behind the curve with what's happening globally. So where did we look for examples of what other countries are doing, even though everybody's figuring it out as they go along, but just perhaps best practices or suggested practices coming out from other parts of the world?
Well, I have been reading a lot about what's happening in education in the Caribbean. Okay. And for the most part, they are doing online classes. They are also ensuring that children who don't have access are able to get some kind of package or some kind of home-based learning. Yeah. So I think what we are doing is very similar to what the other regions are doing. Even in the United States and even in the Great America, not every child has access to a device or to internet. So they have to find other ways and means to get the materials to them.
All right, so let's just get into what the plan is at this time. What is the suggestion coming out of the Ministry of Education?
Okay, so the Ministry of Education is advising schools, and the Ministry of Education is preparing online, when I say online classes, online lessons, these lessons are available at our website, www.mo.gov. We are also going to air those lessons on radio. And in addition to that, to have printed materials available for students who, for whatever reason, can access online lessons or may not hear it on the radio.
Okay, and this includes, because while naturally if we're in one of the main municipalities, we only think of our context, but we know we have rural schools that have limited access, even for the teachers to get there. So the consideration of their needs in areas like that have also been put into perspective?
Yes, what we have thought of is that we are going to place these packages at business places. For the most part, even remote villages have a little shop. That's right. A little business. So our intention is to place these home-based learning at a location where most people can visit.
Yeah. And in terms of the new materials, there's going to be lessons, but I imagine that there's also going to be provision for, let's say, either homework or take-home assessments, or are there recommendations as far as that is concerned from the ministry?
Well, Gavin, at this time we're asking students not to, we're asking teachers not to request any kind of tests or quizzes. We're asking them to engage students meaningfully in core subject areas. At the primary level, we're looking at literacy across the curriculum. We're looking at mathematics and maybe some other life skills. We're encouraging gardening. You know, we're encouraging parents to bond with their students and do other important life skills like cooking and other things like that.
You know, in the midst of uncertainty and just how things are so different in this particular time, one of the things I want to get an explanation about is why there won't be any assessments. Clearly, parents are used to the kids having a grade. They know if they're receiving the material, understanding the material. Why is it that the recommendation is for no assessments, like tests or quizzes, taking place during this time?
Well, we are recommending no tests or quizzes because of the uncertainty of this time. A lot of people are stressed out. We've heard from parents previously to this period that some schools were requesting their children do quizzes, and they were supposed to submit it at time, and there were some difficulties. So also we can't do quizzes and tests because how the students get back those papers to teachers if they're living in a remote area.
Yeah.
You know, the climate is just not right for testing.
And of course, the stress of the situation as well.
So if the child will be able to cope, if parents will have to help them do it. So the climate is not right at this time for quizzes and exams. The whole purpose is to engage students meaningfully, get them involved, get them to feel good about themselves, allow them to bond more with their parents, give them activities that will allow that to happen.
And I think you touched on something a bit earlier, and I was going to ask sort of, we know that because everything has happened so suddenly and everything has happened so significantly, I imagine that the transition may have been kind of awkward or something in some areas. So I wonder if you've heard much feedback from parents or from schools at least as to how they're dealing with the transition so far.
Yes, we've heard from some parents. Some parents are having difficulties with the online classes. Some of them are saying that it's a problem because they don't have internet access. It's costly in these trying times to buy data, and that is why we are advising schools that yes, we must do online classes. We are in a technological era, but we must also cater for those students who don't have access or internet.
Yeah, I think that one of the key issues here is just the fact that we don't have the same level of access across the country. Now, that brings me to another point, though, because some schools have piloted and some schools do, in fact, have more structure in place for their schooling. And I know this is kind of down the road thinking, but it is critical to think about now. There's a disproportionality that can take place if some students are kind of getting access to the full curriculum while others aren't. What's the consideration for that in terms of the long term?
Well, remember right now, Marlene, we are not really following the curriculum. We're just looking at 3 core areas. Mm-hmm. We are looking at literacy across the curriculum. We're looking at mathematics and integrated science. So we are not following the curriculum slavishly because remember, we will have a package for preschoolers. We will have a package for, we are saying childhood from 3 to 8 years old. And then have another package for primary students. So they are at varied levels in the curriculum. So we can't start the curriculum.
Yeah.
For schools, I know that there are the child has a device, has access to internet, and kudos to them. They can proceed with online learning and teaching. But as a responsible ministry, we must cater for everyone, especially for children most at risk.
That's absolutely important. So let's talk about what's going to happen with matriculation. There were some decisions made there. Can you clarify those for us?
Okay, so we are at the primary level. Rule 128, I think, speaks to promotion. So students should be promoted. They should not be kept back. And every opportunity must be made that if students do not have the skills and knowledge for the level that they are promoted to, teachers must provide interventions to ensure that students come up to the level that's expected. So with primary school, that is not an issue because the legislation speaks to promotion. However, at the secondary level, the ministry will have to meet with managing authorities and ask them, allow students to be promoted because of this unusual time that we are all experiencing. And again, we are asking them to also provide intervention to fill the gap wherever they need.
So let's get a bit of clarity in terms of the thinking behind this. So if a child perhaps did not meet the requirements for promotion up until they would have completed second term, for example, they would still be advanced, but you're asking the teachers to identify wherever they were lacking and perhaps just focus on that for the next month or 2 months.
Right. And all effective and good teachers know that we promote a method called differentiation where all students are not at the same level. So you have to provide accommodation, we have to provide support for those students who are lacking and are behind so that they are able to get skills, knowledge that they come up to the level of the others.
And in the secondary school, what I'm hearing from you say you have to meet with the managing authorities. Is that because the Ministry of Education can't tell them that they have to promote all of their students?
I guess we can tell them, but we don't want to take that route because we are partners in education and secondary schools are governed by boards. Yeah. So our intention is to meet with them, to discuss with them, and appeal to them to see the need because of this unprecedented time that we are experiencing.
And if you get pushback in this, what is the justification that will be made to the managing authority as to why this is the best case scenario?
Well, it is the best case scenario because, remember, Marlene, we are going to have children from preschool, 4-year-olds who are going to infant one. And so there will be the need for children to move up. And I honestly don't think that we have a good relationship with the managing authorities. I wouldn't want us to go and take the road where we have to legislate or make amendments to the education rules at this time to make it mandatory promotion at this time.
And has there also been a consideration as to what is going to happen in terms of matriculation from primary to secondary or secondary to tertiary? Because we know that, for example, there is not going to be the PSE primary school examination is not going to be held. We know that the situation is still fluid in terms of, what will happen to the end of the school year. But I'm sure a lot of students maybe in standard 6 who are going to be going to high school or were expecting to be going to high school in the normal course of things. So how or what adjustments have been made to accommodate those incoming students?
Well, as you all know that we won't have a PSE this year. And it has been a practice in past years where schools, secondary schools, when students go and register for entry into first form secondary schools, require of students their standard 4, 5, and 6 report card. Yeah. And sometimes students get acceptance letters even before PhD results are out. So I don't envision that we will have any problem at all.
Okay. And you've actually asked for extensions of application periods as well for students to register for school. So you're asking for schools to really have as much consideration as possible, just given the context of the time.
Exactly. We are asking managing authorities, administrators to be lenient, because this is indeed very trying times. We are in a crisis, so the same rules can't apply. We need to have a heart and to help those who are experiencing problems at this time.
Yeah, I think what you said is the key part, that we expect that people would have a heart in a situation like this. Dr. Bab, the Ministry of Education has worked with partners locally, international organizations like UNICEF, to kind of make this decision collectively, or at least with some guidance. Because one of the things we know that children's organizations like UNICEF has been pointing at is that this is a great psychological burden that the children may be enduring, and we don't know individually how they may be coping.
Yes, Marlene, we have an excellent relationship or partnership with UNICEF, and UNICEF has promised to give to the Ministry of Education $95,000 US, $95,000 US. What they have asked us to do is to provide psychosocial support to parents, students, and the general public. And they've asked us to do a television and radio show to ensure that the masses benefit from these kind of social support. They are also going to assist students. As you may know, the ministry has a school feeding program. And so at this time, these children cannot benefit from the lunch that is given to them. So UNICEF is going to assist us with 1,000 care packages valuing about $150 Belizean dollars. Also going to assist us with the broadcasting, airing of lessons, and they will assist us in making sure the printed materials are available to students as well. Okay. So we have great support. It's an excellent partnership that we have with you.
Yeah, and those care packages go to the children who would have accessed the feeding program. How will they be identified?
Well, it's those children who are a part of the feeding program. And those children are some children from Southside Belize, from the River Valley, and the Stand Creek district. I think it's about 1,400 students. So those care packages will go to those students.
Okay. All right, let's move forward and talk about the responsibility of teachers at this time. The materials will be provided to the teachers as well?
Well, a number of our teachers will be involved in helping to create these materials. And yes, they can get the materials. They can go to the ministry's website. They can get a copy they can get a hard copy if they so desire. But we also want them to be aware of the packages or the lessons, because we are asking teachers to support students where possible. Calling, text, some students already, some teachers already have like a WhatsApp group with their parents.
Yeah.
So we're asking teachers at this time to keep in touch, to provide support, to help students who may have issues with some of their assignments, if they can.
Now, some have been really innovative. I've seen where teachers make their own home video with their lessons to send through WhatsApp. So they're trying to get information to the students the best way they know how.
So we want to applaud our teachers because a lot of them at this time are keeping in touch with parents and students. Yeah. And parents should also know their teacher's phone number so that they can check in. And if they are struggling with the assignment, with the home-based packaging, ask teachers for support as well.
Yeah. Dr. Bab, there's also been some efforts made in keeping the students at the IT vet schools up to date with their curriculum as well. Tell us what's going to happen there, because that's really more of a hands-on type of experience.
Right. You know, technical and vocational education is competency-based.
Yes.
And so we believe that although the students can't be actually in a classrooms, teachers or instructors can still engage students. They can guide them as to certain things that they can do, and then students can show them the end product. So yes, we are still going to engage students at the technical and vocational school. For example, if you are in carpentry, the teachers provide online activities about being maybe a teacher or something, but we believe that they can also still benefit from learning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, when you look at the current timeline, we're saying that the state of emergency comes to an end, I think the 2nd of May, if it's 30 days. If there is no extension, is there a plan in place as to what will happen with schools, or is it definitive that it will be distance learning from this point forward?
Well, we haven't made a decision. We are prepared. The packagings and the online lessons that we have prepared is for 2 weeks. So we are hoping when the state of emergency ends, we are hoping to go back to school. But I believe by next week, we will have to really observe what is happening, yeah, and then make a decision together along with the oversight committee, whether school can be open or whether we may have to cut off this term or end the school year, but we are not there yet.
So that's on the agenda for next week?
That's on the agenda, right, yeah, for next week.
You know, I think it'd be great if parents have that level of certainty. It'd be one thing that they know definitively during this uncertain time. And just, you know, we spoke about matriculation. We spoke of the consideration that you're going to ask the managing authorities in the secondary schools to have in terms of promotion there as well. What about tertiary levels? Some of these children were hoping to be able to move on to universities, especially abroad, and even or local universities here. What's the conversation like there?
Well, I know that in speaking to one of the tertiary institutions, they are going to continue with online lessons. I know that online teaching and learning, and for the most part, I was told that the most of their curriculum is finished. Okay. Because usually tertiary institutions close like mid-May, so they were almost like 3/4 of the school year. Mm-hmm. They have already engaged their students, and they will continue doing teaching and learning.
Mm-hmm. And then when we talk about the PSE, you said that will be moved into Standard 4 at some point when things return to normal, or the new normal, well, whatever.
No, I said that, I didn't say that, I said that at this time, since the PSE is canceled, it's a practice that secondary schools, as students are entering first form for their Standard 4, 5, and 6 report card. Yeah. Accept them based on that. What we are encouraging teachers at secondary schools to do is to use the PSE, the 2020 PSE, which is already printed. We are going to give it to all the secondary schools, and they can use it as a diagnostic tool to determine where students are and where they are and what interventions are needed.
Oh, okay. So what I understand now is that it's not that you're going to be collecting the grades or the scores from these exams. You'll be providing it to secondary schools so that they can have a measure for themselves as to where the
Right.
students are.
So PSC is called up,
Okay.
but because printed, we feel like it would be valuable
Yeah.
to the secondary schools, and they can administer it to the first farmers, and then they will determine where the gaps are and
Okay.
what support is needed.
That's important. Thank you for clarifying that. And things like CXCs and CAPE are also not going to happen, but the difference with that is that there's a fee involved.
At this time, Marlene, no decision has been made. We know it should be happening now, and it can't at this point. But we are meeting with CXC, I think, sometime next week, and then we'll determine whether it will happen and what time. Because remember, CXC is the Caribbean region, so
Yeah.
what might be suitable for one region might not be suitable. So it has to be a consensus as to what will happen.
So there may be consideration of doing the online CXC.
There might be consideration, but some, as I said, we have to have consensus because some regions are not in favor of that. So we are meeting with CXC. I have a meeting with them sometime this week, and I think those are the questions that we can ask. But nothing at this time is definitive.
So the only one that we have control of, which is the primary school examination, we can say definitively is canceled.
It's the big chat is cancelled.
And the
I
regional
also want to share,
exams will be determined in the near future.
right.
Okay.
I also want to share, Marlene, about professional development. You know, in the month of August, we engage teachers in professional development. Since teachers are not at school and may not be engaged the way they normally do, encouraging teachers to take advantage of professional development that is offered by the Ministry of Education. And we have two focus areas. We have psychosocial, and we're going to address emotional health, physical health, financial literacy, and spiritual health. In focus 2, we will prepare teachers or will train in digital literacy so that they can become effective and efficient in offline teaching and online learning as well.
Yeah. So these are two of the professional development courses that are available at this time, and they will count towards their CPD hours.
It will count towards their CPD hours. And if teachers are surfing the net and they find a useful training or meaningful training, all they need to do is to send that link to TEDS@moe.gov.bz, and TEDS will determine the usefulness, and then they will be awarded their CPD hours.
Okay.
Depending on.
Now, Dr. Bab, I know one of the concerns or fears that educators are having is if they will be paid as we move forward. We know government is tightening their belt as much as possible. What's the status there?
Well, in our press conference, the minister said that the government of Belize will do their best to ensure that teachers are paid. I can't really say more than that because I really don't know. That's not my jurisdiction.
Yeah.
But the government will do their best to get their monthly pay.
Okay. And things like long leave, you had also mentioned if they're on long leave or they'd applied for long leave, it already started.
If they had applied for a long leave and it was approved, long leave started the 1st of April, and it cannot be deferred. Teachers, if they were approved, then that's your long leave started the 1st of April.
Now, you know, this is, and we keep on saying it, this is an uncertain time that we are living in. And I know that when we often think of children, we think of those in our immediate life or in our community. But the livelihoods of children across the country are very different. What worries you the most of having children out of school at this time? I mean, there's some marginalized communities that we just don't know what's happening with the kids.
One of the things that worries me the most is that I'm very concerned about those children who were on the feeding program and who were looking forward. Sometimes that one meal might be the only healthy meal that they get. And in my conversation with my minister and with UNICEF, I was saying to them that we should find a way to give a hot meal to those children or to the very marginalized. And then I spoke to one of my friends from Trinidad, who's in charge of school feeding. And she said to me, you know, it's maybe great man think alike. She said that Trinidad is going to offer or will find a way to ensure that those children who are being fed will get at least one meal. Their concern is that although we're giving pantry and students are given rice and flour and and we name it what they're given, their concern is are our students eating healthily? Are they getting a balanced diet? Yeah. And so that is my concern, because if we are not careful to ensure that they're eating healthy, then we're going to encounter major health problems down the road.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's still something that you're working on at this point, maybe moving towards providing the actual meal?
Passion of mine, and I told Ms. Rabatu, you see, we need to get it done. I will work on it, Marlene, and I will do my best to ensure it's done because it's needed. Yeah. Because we have to be realistic. We are Belizeans, and when you give pantry, and the pantry is appreciated, we thank the government, thank all the donors, but some poor families have other issues. They may not have gas, they may not have stove. I mean, some children live in really difficult circumstances, and we must find ways to support them. And so I am going to advocate on that, and I will ensure that we find a way to get that hot meal to or not to every one of those students who are on that feeding program.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely important. And I agree with what you say. I think the assumption of the circumstances is different from the reality on the ground. And that leads me to my final question. Just, I think that we have a lot of responsibility being placed on parents right now, and one of the things is that not all parents are at home with their children. There are parents who may be doing some sort of work under the essential service regulations, and they may just not be able to sit with the kids and work with the kids during the course of the day.
Yeah, that's an issue indeed, and that is why we are trying to engage students in these interactive television and radio show, because we realize that some parents are not there, and that is why I am appealing to parents to find meaningful activities for their students, for their children to do while they are away. Maybe they can ask somebody they trust and the person to come and spend and read to them. But parents must ensure that their children are safe, and they must ensure that they are engaged so that they can make good use of their time. I know it's very, very difficult, and I don't think we have all the answers, but we just need to, I think we need to appeal as the chief education officer, appealing to all parents. Ensure that your children, are safe, that if you leave them behind with anyone, ensure that those persons are persons you can trust.
Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. And any final message to teachers, parents who are watching this morning about facing what will be a new phase of education for children?
I just want to I want to first thank teachers for all they are doing, for keeping in touch with our students. I want to let parents know that the Ministry of Education is there for you. If you are experiencing any issues, please call 615-7597, 615-74. Please listen to all the educational updates. The Ministry of Education, along with our partners at UNICEF, are doing our best to engage students, teachers, parents, and learners as a whole. Yeah. Help us to make this a very meaningful time. Yeah. Because, you know, Marlene, I believe that no matter how difficult the circumstance is, there will always be learning experiences. Yeah. And one of the great that parents can benefit is the opportunity to bond more with their students, with their friends. You know, for those parents who are fortunate to be at home, make a schedule, you know, and ensure that the children get an opportunity to go in the yard. Teach them how to clean, teach them how to wash, teach them help them to develop life skills, survival skills, all those skills.
And talk to them. Let them know what's happening.
And talk to them indeed. You know, talk with them a lot. And assure them that you love them and you care for them. Help them to build their self-esteem, their self-confidence in this very trying time.
Absolutely. And that we are all going to get through this, as uncertain as it is right now. Dr. Bab, we really appreciate you kind of providing some clarity to the recent decisions by the Ministry of Education. I'm assuming perhaps next week maybe we get an update on some of those regional exams or any further decisions, right?
Yes, definitely. We will keep in touch with the media and provide updates as they become available.
All right. Thank you so much. And best of luck and stay safe.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Marlene and Gavin. Have a great day.
All right.
There you have it. So life in a pandemic, the children learn from home.
Yeah, absolutely. And we are going to be taking our break right now. And when we come back, we are going to be joined by a Belizean who is experiencing COVID-19 in Europe. So please stay tuned.